If my friends, hey, say hello to everybody right there on Wake Up. Just make some noise, get crazy. Welcome in, my dear friends, to the legendary marketer Mastermind. I have, I don't know, 100 or so friends, maybe a few more here in the house, and we are all smiles this morning. We are all smiles because we're together. Many of us flew in. I drove in. Who came the furthest? Who do you think here in the room came the furthest? Huh? Who flew the fur? Okay, where'd you come from? Washington, D.C. or Washington State? Okay, just clarifying. Yes. Wisconsin, California, Cali in the house, Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada in the house, Montreal. Oh, it's a battle between Montreal and Ontario. Okay. Anybody else from out of the country? No? Okay, all North Americans. Okay. Where are you from, my friend? You're cheat. Don't cheat right now. Don't try to don't cheat. Okay, my friend. So we're all North American, and we've got or a few in the house that are originally from other places, but we've got people from all over North America here. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't embellishing there. And you know, this is a beautiful thing because it's not often, especially after coming out of a pandemic not too long ago, that we get to be together and we get to be around like-minded people. And many of you, as I say a lot of times on the show, may not be able to be around like-minded people when you are in your own, friends and family circles. Is that true for anybody in the room? You know, they kind of are wondering what the hell you're doing if you've gone crazy. You know, they're like, I don't know if this is going to work out. Is there a lot of, is it like, let's show of hands of anybody who thinks that you're crazy for being here and doing this. Show of hands. Okay. All right. Well, hey, guess what? I got news for you. You are crazy. And you know what? Like Steve Jobs said, welcome in, my friends. The car movers are back. The car movers, give them a round of applause. Welcome back, car movers. All right, we're glad that you're safely parked now. Hey. Okay, the car movers are here. Hello. Welcome. Let's go. Applause. Hey, give them a round of applause. All right, welcome in, my friends. Thank you, Steve, for being here, and all of you who had to move your car. Welcome back. We didn't want to get started with it. Well, is this your wife here?
No, business partner. She thinks significant other.
Okay, hey, juicy, do tell. Actually, we're gonna scrap all this. We're gonna interview these two now and hear the dirt. All right, my friends. Well, anyways, she didn't want to start without you, so she is caring deeply for you. And there's a lot of. Okay, there you go. She didn't want you to miss anything. Okay, and so. Again, we have like-minded people here in the room, people who are all thinking alike, maybe not acting alike, right? But thinking alike. That's what's important. And from all walks of life in here, all different occupations, right? I mean, people who are any doctors in the house besides Becca, any lawyers in the house. No, okay, shit. Never mind then. I don't want to know what the rest of y'all do. No, I'm just joking. Any construction workers or people in the construction trades like I was? There we go. Okay. Anybody in the medical field, nursing, anything like that? Yeah. Okay. Hey, let's give a round of applause for our nurses. You know. What else do we have in the room? What else? What? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. The teachers. You're a paralegal. Okay, good for you. Let's give our paralegals and our teachers a round of applause, okay? Yes, sir, my friend Raul. Our realtors. Hey, our realtors in the house. What else do we have? Any other occupations that haven't been mentioned? Shipping logistics. Hey, we need our insurance people. My uncle was an insurance guy. He said it's something that you pay for your whole life and hope you never have to use. Hey, right? What else do we have? What is it?
Headhunter.
Oh God, not my head though, I hope. A fisherman. Professionally? Okay, because I'm a fisherman too. Do you charter? Where do you take them out of? Oh shit, I might have to come up and see you. I haven't fished in New Jersey yet. Okay, who else? What other kind of occupations do we have here? Fire department. Let's give our firefighters a round of applause. Awesome. Any counselors, therapists in the room? Caroline? Hey, nice. What's your name? Okay, Derek's going to fact check me this morning as I go through some of my psychological theories here. And so let's get into this. Why the poor stay poor and the rich get richer. This is actually a picture of me back in the day, throwing up the deuces, sitting at my shitty little, that's not even a desk. That was actually like a nightstand that was turned around. But I had just gotten the new iMac. Okay, so we're talking 2009, 10-ish, I think. So I've been doing this now for about 13-ish years. And I promise you it's given me a life beyond my wildest dreams. Okay, for somebody who at that time was just getting clean and who was, had experienced homelessness, had experienced severe addiction to opiates. I had an opiate addiction, and it was had felonies on my record from my addiction. Running from the cops. Unauthorized possession of a driver's license, fake ID. That was very important to have in that life. Fleeing and eluding, just lots of different things. None that were violent, and not to say that anybody who does have a violent history can't change, but mine was related to my addiction. And my father is an alcoholic. He's actually been sober, and he got sober 6 months after I got sober in 2008. And he's actually still been sober and is sober to this day. It's probably one of the reasons why this year, when he had a heart heart attack and open heart surgery, he couldn't get off the ventilator, but his liver was okay. You know what I mean? Because he was a 50-year smoker. Well, he hasn't had a cigarette since he's been out of the hospital, my friends. That's one way to quit. Okay, that's one way to quit. But at this time, I was living, he and I were living together. We were living in a house on 9th Avenue and 31st Street in St. Petersburg, Florida. And this is the very house that I often talk about, where I was doing network marketing and I was putting the signs in my yard, and I lived on a main street. 9th Avenue was a main street right there. So I thought, I'm going to get rich. I got more traffic coming up and down this street than Carter's got liver pills. And every morning I would wake up and walk out, and some homeless person had kicked my sign over, and it was getting ran over by cars all night long. So I thought I'd put a magnet on my car, and I called up Vistaprint or ordered it online because that was the only place you could get free business cards and magnets. And I would slap it on my old 1990 Ford F-150, and I would drive around, and everybody would try their hardest not to make eye contact with me as I was pulling up to lights, trying to be friendly, Hey, how you doing? And they're like, oh my God, who is this, derelict? That truck had more rust on it than paint. I think if I think back, I had to start it with a screwdriver. Any mechanics in the house, or even shade tree mechanics? No? Good for you all. I don't like to work on dirty shit either, to be honest with you. But I would have to pop the hood and use a screwdriver to kind of, start it in the solenoid. And again, people would do their best not to make eye contact with me. And so, back in this time of my life, I was really thinking that I had been struck by that poverty disease, that it was a generational curse for me. There was a lot of drama and trauma in my family history on my dad's side. His father was killed in front of him, if you can believe that. He was drunk and violent one night in Alabama, and my father's mother's brother had just came home from the service and was packing heat, as to be expected, I guess. But I guess he didn't mean to shoot him and kill him. He just meant to shoot him and put him down. But my father's father died right in front of him, and my dad was 10 years old. And so, if you think that that kind of generational trauma doesn't affect you, even if you weren't there or if you weren't, I wasn't sit down. My dad didn't sit down and talk to me about that when I was 9, 10 years old, 11. As a matter of fact, I had to pull it out of him when I was like, hey, where in the hell's grandpa at? Where's your dad at? And so I really thought that as I watched my father drink on job sites, throughout my kind of 16 to 24, when I finally got clean, we would go out on job sites. He would have actually, I never remember my father driving without a tall boy in a brown paper bag. I don't know if anybody remembers those, or maybe they still have them out there. I don't know. I don't frequent 7-Eleven that much anymore. But yeah, he would go no matter what time of day it was and get a tall boy in a brown paper bag. And that was as common for me growing up as seeing somebody put their seatbelt on. Right, was seeing my father with that, drinking and driving. By the way, he didn't have a license either. Right, I took after him in a way. When I got clean, I also had a car but didn't have a license. Okay, I was a hustler. That's all I knew. Okay, and part of that being disconnected from sort of society actually has helped me, because all along, many of my friends who were in school, who were in high school, who were in college, were getting certain programming and preparing to be factory workers. Now, not factory workers in the sense of actually working in a factory, but with that mentality. Now, imagine this. I'm going to train, you're going to pay me $50,000. People think our education platform is a scam. You're going to pay me $50,000. I'm going to give you a degree, a piece of paper that is basically just going to say you were able to show up on time for 4 years, okay, and actually do something consistently, which is good. That is notable. But now you're going to have to go out and get a job with no experience. And many of us have been down that path before, right? Many of my family members, many of my friends. And so in a way, I was blessed to have an addiction and to be homeless and to be on the streets, because in a way I learned how to be scrappy and learned how to hustle and learn how to, and not all teachers do that. I see you snarling over there. Not all teachers are doing that. And I think our teachers do the very best that they can. And it's not our teachers' fault. It is just a systemic issue, okay? It is how our society, and it's damn near every country. And some countries are ahead of us in this respect. But the United States of America loves our factory workers. And one of the reasons why we love our factory workers was because, we're always involved in everybody else's business, and we need a good factory mentality with our military and everything else like that, so we can take orders and go fight wars, right? And so we have to unplug from that. I want you to believe this morning that actually becoming financially stable and even getting rich speeds up you becoming the best version of yourself. It will. And I'm going to prove it to you here in a second. This is another picture of me hunched over. And this is when I used to do my webinars, this would be like us going live nowadays. I do this still every day at 10 a.m. Eastern time. But this was back in the day when only GoToWebinar, I don't know if anybody remembers that, but it was like GoToWebinar was what everybody did. And so I would, of course, get on there, tell the whole house to be quiet because I had planned an event, and, nobody would show up, but I had too much pride to tell my wife and everybody else that nobody showed up. So you know what I did? I did the dadgum thing anyways. I just presented. I said, we got a packed house in here. And I just presented the damn thing anyways. And you know what? When the 1 or 2 people who showed up a little bit late came on, I was already talking. So they were like, oh, shit, I'm late. Not, oh, shit, I'm the only one here, and this guy's waiting on me. Oh, shit, I'm late. Let me sit down and let me listen and learn and hear what this guy who's just rambling 100 miles an hour is talking about. And so there's success leaves clues. A lot of you are, want to go live or tried to go live and then, had, nobody show up or whatever, and you just sat there and you waited for, come on, now, am I telling the truth? Is this resonant? And you sat there and you waited for somebody to come on live, and then you were like, oh, welcome in, Cindy. We're glad you're the only one who finally showed up. And it's like, instead, what you could be doing, I offer an invite, is just get going. Just get going. Believe that taking that action will attract a different vibe from people when they see you already going places. So as I'm doing this morning, and hey, welcome in everybody on Wake Up Legendary. We do remember that we're live. If you're just coming on, we welcome you in. I'm actually presenting this morning. We're not interviewing. We're at the Legendary Marketer Mastermind. We've got 100 people. It's not just me sitting up here talking to nobody. Show them. Make some noise. Say hello to everybody. So we've got some friends in the house, and the only thing that is missing here is you, my friend. We hope that you can make the next one. But just listen in, and we're going to cut you off very soon because people paid good money to be here, and you didn't, unfortunately. So you can't get all the secrets. Okay? So I want you to believe that becoming financially stable, this also has to do with your belief about money. It has to do with your belief about being poor is noble. Being poor is noble, right? I was talking to a good friend last night here in the house, and, it's like we sometimes have a hard time parting with our money. Sometimes when we buy things, we have a visceral, physical reaction. Like I coined it last night, buyer's remorse anxiety, because it's like, oh my God, what if I can't get that money back? What if I never get any money again? As if this is the only money that I'm ever going to get, right? Anybody relate with that? Or am I just out there? Is this resonating? Does this make sense? And some of us have been given those thoughts and given those belief systems by other people, right? We grew up watching our mom cut coupons or our dad say, what are you thinking? Money doesn't grow on trees. And we were like, well, I guess, we went outside and we looked at a tree and we went, man, he's right. Fucking guy's telling the truth, man. I guess money's not an abundant, unlimited thing. It's a very limited thing, and we only have a little bit of it. When in reality, the truth is there's some people out there who have more money than they know what to do with it. Spending $100,000 for them is like you spending $10. If they had as much money as I had in my net worth, they'd feel poor. And I'm doing okay. And have been doing this for 13 years, was financially stable even before Legendary was launched because of this business and this career. So money is all relative. Today, I want to talk to you about actualizing the results that you want. Actualizing the results that you want. And actually manifest, not just thinking about them, no, not just going, there's a Lamborghini in my driveway, we're not going to be meditating, we're not going to be chanting this weekend. I know, it's disappointing, but that's not the kind of event this is. Maybe we'll do another event. And I'm not taking any stabs at any of my yogis in the house or anything like that. I love yoga, I love chanting, I love meditating and all the things. However, getting rich is not about that. It's not about that. And one of the things that we often realize with a lot of successful people that we're listening to on the internet about their morning routines and daily methods of operation and all this BS is that they didn't actually do that to get rich. They did that after they got rich, and now they're teaching and talking about that on the internet because that's what we're all doing now, is creating content on the internet. And so we're thinking that we need to do gym, prayer and meditation, read for 30 minutes, and have a 4-hour morning routine, when how they actually got rich was they started working right immediately in the morning on their business, on their dreams, making money, and getting those money-making activities out of the way first thing in the morning. And then they probably went and took a nap. And then later on, when they became successful and they got overwhelmed and they couldn't put their phone down or whatever, they started to adapt, techniques to help them be more present or disconnect from their technology or have less screen time, all this shit. But that's not how they got there. They did a whole lot of actualizing the results that they wanted. So there's 6 psychology perspectives. I'm going to just blaze through these here real quick. There's biological, which believes that most behavior is inherited as an adaptive function, focuses on the nervous system, hormones, genetics. Biological psychology examines the relationship between mind, body, neural mechanisms, and the influence of hereditary influence on behavior. It can often be described as the difference between, is this something that I got because I was born with it, nature, or is this something that was nurtured into me am I right here? Fact check me. Okay, I got the nod from the man over there. So this is one theory. We don't have to know these theories. We don't really even have to understand them, because I'm going to show you here in a second how they all weave into one simple model that is easy, at least for me to understand, and maybe it'll be easy for you as well. There's behaviorist, a theory of, I got the same things there. I didn't do a good edit job. But anyways, behaviorists believe that our response to environmental stimuli shape our actions. That makes sense to you, right? Our environment shapes our actions. We've got psychodynamic, which emphasizes systematic study of the psychological forces that underline human behavior, feeling, emotions, and how they might relate to early life experience. So this has to do a lot with your conscious and your unconscious mind, okay? We've got evolutionary, which presumes all human behaviors reflect the influence of physical and psychological predispositions that help human ancestors survive and reproduce, which kind of makes sense a little bit, right? We are a pretty old species. There's cognitive, which is all about your thoughts, create a feeling, which creates a behavior, which reinforces your thoughts, and you could even add in that builds your belief system, right? Humanistic, there's 5 core values of humanistic psychology. Human beings supersede the sum of their parts. Their existence in a uniquely human context, as well as a cosmic ecology. Human beings are conscious, they are aware, and aware of being aware. We are that smart, my friends. Both of oneself and in the context of other people. Human beings have some choice and thus responsibility. Human beings are intentional, aim at goals, are aware that they cause future events, and seek meaning, value, and creativity. All these things are resonating, right? They all make sense, right? What I've realized is there's not really one theory of who we are and how we think. It's actually been influenced by, anybody ever heard of Sigmund Freud? Yeah? He was the founder of psychoanalysis and a set of theories and therapeutic techniques related to the study of the unconscious mind. So, as we begin to study some of the, where a lot of these gurus on the internet were doing the unconscious things and we're doing all the stuff, there's actually guys and also women, of course. We've got a lot of men on here because they were, they were receiving more of the spotlight back then, and times were different back 50 and 100 plus years ago. Otto Rank was Freud's right-hand man for almost 20 years, who broke with Freud in the mid-1920s and influenced Carl Rogers. Am I on track here? Influenced Carl Rogers, among the founders of humanistic psychology. And this guy influenced a gentleman named, anybody ever heard of this guy? Abraham Maslow. Yeah? Yeah, he created Maslow's hierarchy. And this is the model that I want to talk to you about here just for a minute, because I want to back up my claim that being rich and getting rich actually helps you become the best version of yourself. Well, this theory that he came up with was based on 5 needs that we have. And those needs are also compiled. It's not just 5, it's not that simple. Our first and most basic need is our physiological need, which means that we need air, we need water, We need food and shelter and sleep and clothing and even reproduction needs. We're driven for that. In one word, what is this need in modern day society? Basic is good and okay, but not the word I'm looking for. What is it? Life sustaining. Okay. I'm looking for something simpler than that. Survival. Okay. Starts with an M. I'm about to explode at the seams. Starts with an M. Money! Money! Moolah! Dead presidents! Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Okay? Moolah! Yes. Now we're already paying for water, my friends. We'll be paying for air soon. We already are in some respects, right? I mean, I guess if you go diving, but I'm sure and they've got some products in some countries where there's a lot of, toxins in the air where there is those products. Anyways, food, bread, milk, it's going up. Inflation, shelter, the price of homes. Oh my God, can't afford a house, mortgage rates, on and on. Your basic needs, even your ability to be able to get a good night's sleep, revolve around your ability to be able to generate money, income, moolah, dead presidents, the green stuff, paper, cash flow. Even your ability to, if we're thinking responsible, reproduce. Can we afford to have kids? Right? So all of this, and here's Maslow's thought, is that it's very difficult. I don't believe that he said impossible, but very difficult to focus on the next need until the first need is met. And that makes sense as you look at it, right? The next is your safety needs, personal security, employment, resources, health, property. Well, I mean, I don't know about you, but personal security, we've got security here. But they cost what? Money. I used to do a lot of crazy things that weren't safe because I needed air, water, food, shelter. You see? So that need wasn't that important to me because I was so focused on this need. Now, we talk about friendship and intimacy, and this is love and belonging. This is that third level of needs, family, sense of connection. Well, some of us are wondering, why does our social life suck? Why do I not have any friends? Why do I not have any time? What has my life become? Who am I? What is my identity? Well, I don't have any time to have friends. I don't have any time to socialize. Why? Because I'm always focused on money. Because I got to work. I got to work 2 jobs. I got to work overtime, on and on and on and on. So, esteem? Esteem? I don't have time for esteem. And esteem, respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, freedom. Oh, we're all about freedom on the internet. Everybody's talking about freedom. Well, let me tell you something. It's hard to have freedom, a sense of self-freedom, a sense of autonomy when you're not meeting your basic needs, when you're always in struggle mode. This is an example broken down for those of you who want the data, who want the science, who want the theory of why the poor stay poor. Does this make sense? I got the nod here from my man. This is why the rich get richer, because they have time to work on themselves. They have the time to do it. Okay? Self-actualization, desire to become the most that one can be. What does that even mean? I don't even know. This is just shit I'm talking about, but I don't know what I'm talking about. And the reason why I'm talking to you about this is because sometimes we get so caught up in bullshit on the internet. And we think that the next seminar, the next this, the next that, I need to go on a 6-month hiatus and find myself, and I need to, and it's really not. The way to get rich is just to really stick with this and work your ass off every day and push through the uncomfortable things of people not showing up to your live streams, not watching your videos, and do it anyways until they do show up. I know it was a movie, but it is true. If you build it, they will what? That's right. They will. I promise you. Now, what's interesting is that these needs, the lower needs, your motivation actually decreases as those needs are met. That's the problem. So a lot of times once we get the job or we get a little bit of money, I'm okay. I'm good. I got security, right? Do you really have security? Right? But that's what society has trained you to do. Once you get comfortable, once you have a job, once you have enough money, we talk to 30,000 people a month in our challenge, our advisors, and we hear a lot of different answers and perspectives to their money goals. And do you know that the most common answer that we hear in terms of what is your financial goal? How many of you can guess based on where I'm going with this? Not $1 million, ma'am. It's like 1,000. If I could make an extra 1,000, I'd be good. Anybody said that? I mean, come on, let's just be honest here. It takes honesty. Don't apologize, and that's good. It's okay. Don't apologize. You are. So Kelly can relate to this, right? Hey, I think we were talking about that last night. You said that exact thing. Yeah. Hey, an extra 500 will change my life. And you know what? You are a good girl, probably in society, in school, and got grades and got your job. And now you're a paralegal, right? You did all the right things. You did nothing wrong. Well, she took all the right societal suggestions. And unfortunately, you got to a place to where you seemingly achieved the top of the mountain. You arrived, paralegal, white picket fence, house, whatever. I mean, you got to, and it's not enough, right? And so I'm proving my point that as we meet these needs, particularly these first ones, that we have to be careful because our motivation decreases, and that's how they get us, right? That's how society, jobs, corporations, things like this get us. Is, hey, you should be grateful. You're comfortable. You're safe, right? Now, what's ironic is that these growth needs actually, as you start to build self-esteem, you want more. Oh my God, I'm feeling good. I'm growing. I just did something that I've never done before. I filmed a video and I posted it and I had people actually respond to it, right? Man, I feel good. Oh my God, I just made a commission. Dadgummit. I used to run around the freaking house and I would say, oh my God, I made it. And I had only, generated a few leads, but I was so excited. I wanted more because that was something that gave me a taste of what self-esteem, the rush of winning. Yeah, we want more of that. And the more you win, the more you become addicted to winning. Think about some of the champions. Do you think that they were was it nature? Was it nurture? I don't know. I don't care. I just know that they won. They got a taste of winning and they wanted to win. You think about Michael Jordan. You think about Tom Brady. You think about some of these cats who got multiple championships or some of the greatest athletes in history. They got a taste of that and they wanted more. So you have to keep going until you get a taste of that. That's my point. Now, you're not going to jump right from not being able to afford to pay attention right up here to build himself. That self-esteem will come, and if you're not meeting these needs, it will go because you're back into struggle mode, right? So I have to keep going and keep being addicted, and ultimately I have to do things. I have to take action. Okay. This is just another example chart that just proves what I was just talking about. 15 characteristics. There was a study, and I think Maslow did it, of people in history that actually are a self-actualized person. Abraham Lincoln was one of them. 18 people Maslow studied. This was how he kind of came up with this theory, or at least the people that he studied that he said were actually self-actualized. They perceive reality pronounce that word for me, efficiently, and can tolerate uncertainty. Problem-centered, not self-centered. Able to look at life objectively and not get emotional and tied up in every single little situation, realizing that my feelings are not facts. Okay? Capable of deep appreciation of basic. I have a great mentor named Ken Wells who wrote a book, and we always jab fun at each other and he's a therapist. He wrote a book called Dare to Be Average, and I have hats and merch and stuff that say "fuck average, be legendary." But his point of that book was that the brilliance of life is in the basic moments. Instead of us being on our phone looking and wishing that we were somewhere else living somebody else's life because they appear to have it better and be having more fun, that the real brilliance of life is right in the average basic moments of spending time with loved ones. And you can ask, there's some people in this room who have recently lost loved ones, and at the end of their lives is all they wanted to do was just sit with them. Sit with them. So what are we really going after? What are we, it helps us to reevaluate our goals. What do you want this money for? What do you want to be successful for? So I can travel the world and live in a big house and drive a nice car and all this shit. Well, what if you just had more time to sit with the people who you're going to really, really, really miss when they're gone? Right? Helps us to reevaluate when we study people who, as Maslow calls, self-actualized. Strong moral, ethical standards, right? Need for privacy. I mean, it's just interesting. Establish deep, satisfying interpersonal relationships with a few people. With a few people. Not with many, with a few. I mean, if you have two people that are safe, a few can be considered three. I think you're lucky if you got three. If you have three people who, here's my criteria for a deep, satisfying interpersonal relationship, is that number one, no criticism whatsoever. And criticism can come in the form of shaming, judging. None of that. If I feel any of that energy, boom, you're cut off. Why? Why is that for me? Well, because I can shame, judge, and criticize myself all day long. I don't need you to do it for me. I need somebody to speak life into me. I need somebody to compliment me. I need somebody to point out the best in me. I need somebody to remind me how powerful I am, how motivated I am, how good of a man I am. So that's the criteria for me. At least it's one of them. And it can help us when we hear stories like that. We can start to recalibrate our friendships in the criteria of who we want to make more money to sit with. Because I damn sure don't want to make more money to spend time with people who make me feel bad about myself. Okay, so we can also learn, and I would probably say, let's see if there is one of these. About setting boundaries. We talk about that a lot on Wake Up Legendary. Let's look at this next person. Well, let's look at behavior leading to self-actualization instead. Experiencing life like a child with full absorption and concentration. Trying new things instead of sticking to safe plans. Listening to your own feelings and evaluating experiences instead of the voice of tradition, authority, or the majority. Now, tradition can be a difficult one to navigate, right? Because this is the tradition in our family. This is what we do. This is what the men do. This is what the women do, et cetera, et cetera. This is what we do in our spiritual beliefs or our religion or whatever. We don't say those words. We don't drink that cup, that drink. We don't eat that food. I mean, these can be things that you all have to, at a certain point, evaluate for yourself if it's a good fit for you. And I really am about personal autonomy, personal independence, and really each person in each generation evaluating if something applies to them and if they want to carry on, because it's your choice. This is one of the big things that we often come to realize with our parents, is that we listen to them in most cases when we do something for them, we grow resentful. Well, I went to college because my dad wanted to see me go to college. And well, guess what? My dad doesn't have to shoulder the dadgum debt. I do. I was the one who pulled out the student loans. Or I'm now in a career that I don't really want to be in. I'm now doing something because of the tradition. All my parents were doctors. All my parents were lawyers, whatever it is. Well, I've got a few doctor friends who hate being doctors because their parents were doctors and they realized that they dadgum didn't want to be doctors. Okay? Avoiding pretense, game playing, and just being honest. Just saying what you mean, meaning what you say, but you don't have to be mean when you say it. Being prepared to be unpopular if your views do not coincide with those of the majority. Pretty bad. We talk about that quite a bit. Taking responsibility and working hard. Pretty trying to identify your defenses and having the courage to give them up. Also, having the courage to identify your vices and the things that, I guess that's another way of saying that, at least in my interpretation. But, getting sober was probably the smartest damn thing that I ever did. Now, why is that? Because I have an addictive personality. Everybody here or in the world doesn't have an addictive personality, but I have a wildly addictive personality, extremely addictive. Now, I don't know if that's nature or nurture. I really don't. I don't care. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that I know myself, is that I know what my vices are. And I have to be honest with myself. What am I doing that's keeping me stuck? What am I doing that's keeping me, in a cycle of self-sabotage? And it's been everything for me. I used to sit outside of these events and smoke cigar after cigar. No shit. And it was awesome. I love it. I love smoking cigars. I love smoking anything, to be honest with you. I really do. I loved smoking cigarettes. I love smoking pot. I do. I've smoked a lot of things in my life. But I can't do it. I can't do it responsibly. I just can't. I can't do it and not have it take over my life and become the predominant thing that I always want to do, no matter what. And then I start to build my whole daily routine around that thing. Well, when am I going to have a smoke? When am I going to have a cigar? All these things. So it takes a lot of, I look back and sometimes when I get down on myself, which I do as well. Who doesn't? Come on, we're all human beings. And a lot of these gurus and goblins out here on the internet try to act like they just never have a negative thought come in. Well, I'm full of I'm full of self-doubt at times. I'm full of, you know, imposter syndrome and things of that nature. And I forget how many difficult things I did to be able to get here. You know, I it's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Um, I really have been willing to work hard on things and stick with them in order to see them through for myself, for my own self-esteem, and for my own best interest. And I'm not talking about the big things. I'm not talking about outsmarting people. I'm not talking about being smarter than anybody. I'm just simply talking about identifying something that was unmanageable or bad for me and saying, I really don't want to give that up because it feels good, but I need to. And there's been some breaks that I've had along the way. I actually think that another thing characteristic of being a self-actualized person is that you recognize opportunity when it's in front of you and you seize it. Let me give you an example. In 2004, I was running from the cops and crashed my car into a house. Okay? That was a day. And I got a blessing. Why did I run from the cops? Because I wanted to get high that day. That's why. And I hadn't gotten high yet or didn't have drugs. And so I was like, I don't have time to get pulled over and go to jail right now. As a matter of fact, sir, I need to get high. Okay. You are fucking up my day. And so I hit the gas and thought that was a good idea. Okay. And of course, obviously, when I'm in addiction, I make bad, poor choices. That's another thing. And so out of that extremely horrible and difficult situation, I crashed my car into a house, actually. And I'm blessed that I didn't kill somebody, including myself. And from that situation, I got what is called a downward departure, and I got put into drug court in Pinellas County, and I was given the blessing of an 18-month treatment center, DOC, Department of Corrections. So if I left, I went to prison. But I sat my ass in that treatment center. If you were good, you got out in 16 months. I found recovery in that treatment center. I was introduced to 12-step programs and such. I got my first job at a telemarketing company. And I learned I was like a dog on a leash in front of that cubicle. I mean, I was walking, doing half moons back and forth right in front of that thing. I may have even thrown the hat a couple of times. I don't know. But I learned about writing scripts and all that kind of stuff. Not those kind of scripts, but sales scripts. I was writing scripts long before that. Trust me. Sales scripts and selling and communicating and talking and starting to get a little bit of that building of that self-esteem. Because I realized I could turn my struggles into my strengths. I was out there on the dadgum streets hustling and running my damn motor mouth, trying to get one more. And I realized that a lot of the things that I thought were, the reasons why I was a bad person or the reason why, et cetera, I was a low life or a drug addict or, were really things I could turn into if I channeled that power in the right direction. I could turn it into something positive. Okay. So wisdom, my friends, is way more important than perfectionism. Way more important. And where do you get wisdom from? From your own experience and from other people's experience. And we really learn how to identify the difference between, you guys are really getting a lot of love today. We're bringing you right in on the inside. We still know that you're there. Are they still there, Jalen? Let's give Jalen a round of applause. He's back there, AV and the video man. The video man. We identify wisdom when we hear people talk about their experience. And we learn to tune out everybody who's just sharing their what? Starts with an O. They're like assholes. Everybody's got them. Yeah. Everybody's got one. That's what my dad used to say. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody got them. And most people stink. That's what he said. I got a lot of dadisms. I love my dad. He's a good man. And so, yeah, we start to listen to people who share their experience. That's another criteria of the few people that I have personal relationships with, is they must share their experience with me, not their opinions. And if I hear you projecting, because this is what most oftentimes people do, when I share something with them, they say, "Oh, I don't know about this is what I heard," or, "Oh, are you sure about that?" And it's like, zzz. No, talk to the hand. I taught my daughter that the other day. Talk to the hand. The hand don't talk back. She was like, "Oh, I'm going to say that at school." I said, "You go, girl." Here it is, my friends. Here it is. Here it is. It's coming. Okay, it's not coming yet, but so non-actualized action is that I have a thought, and this is how a lot of us default. This is how we operate. We have a thought, it leads to an emotion, it's affected by our environment. Okay, you might act a little bit differently in a nice restaurant than you would right in your home, right? You then have an action. It oftentimes turns into a ritual. I do the same thing. I order the same thing. I do my hair the same. And then when anybody, messes up my routine, whoo, boy, my day got thrown off. Didn't have time to have 2 cups of coffee this morning, right? Only had time to have 1 because got a phone call and Bob messed up my morning and now I'm running down to do that, right? So we are very ritualistic in the way that and one of the ways that you'll see this happen, and I hesitate to point it out because it would be funny to point out tomorrow, but I'm going to point it out anyways because it's a great example. It's a great analogy. And in marketing, nothing is more powerful than the power of the perfect analogy. Nothing. And so what we see here at events is people, and you've probably done this before, so you know what I'm talking about, go back and sit in the same seat every day. Right? And some of you have already said, "Ooh, this is my seat. I want to be here. This is where I'll be." Right? Because we are ritualistic people. Okay? So those rituals then, when we do them enough times, you don't do something one time and it becomes a belief system, part of your belief system. You do it over and over. And then it becomes part of your unconscious belief system. Right? And then what? You have more thoughts that are based on your belief system, and it just becomes this cycle. And oftentimes it can be a vicious cycle. There's a very simple solution to this. And that's, you have a thought, you have emotions, it's affected by your environment. Whoa! I'm aware of my thoughts now. I'm paying attention to how I'm thinking. I'm paying attention to how I'm feeling. I'm paying attention to how the environment is affecting me. And I'm going to have some awareness. Now I'm going to, instead of just taking random action, I'm going to act to actualize a new ritual and a new belief system. So it's not rocket science. It's really the prize, and I learned this from one of my recovery sponsors. Very early on, he said, and it was a weird way of saying this, but he said, the booby, he was from Boston, so he was like, the booby, I can't do it, but he was like, Boston Tom was his name. He said, the booby prize is awareness in this, Dave. That was pretty good, actually. He said, the booby prize is awareness. And I don't know what he meant by boob. That's a weird thing to say. But somebody could just edit that part out on the video and just have me saying booby, booby, booby. So again, awareness is as Boston Tall Tom said, the booby prize. Here's you've maybe heard me say this, but hopefully this talk this morning gives you more insight into what this actually means. You, my friends, cannot think yourself into a new way of acting. You must act yourself into a new way of thinking. I don't give a damn how much time you spend in your head. I don't care how much you think through this. I got to think through this. We say that a lot. I got to think through this one. It's a bad neighborhood up there. Don't go up there alone. Okay? I always joke with my dad because when he's thinking, I get this mental image of like, you know how when your computer's just kind of like spinning, processing, it's kind of stuck. I say, oh God, the wheel's spinning, the wheel's spinning up there. We don't want to get stuck on stupid, friends. And that's what happens a lot of times when we spend too much time up in the bad neighborhood up here. Somebody told me when I was in a tough predicament, now I happened to be addicted to drugs and my ass was on fire and I was asking people to help me bolt it back on. They said, Dave, and of course I got a little bit of esteem and I got a little bit of comfort and I was ready to kind of go back out there and figure it out on my own. They said, Dave, but remember, your best thinking got you here. Your very best ideas got you here. Oh, God, man, that doesn't make me feel very good. But it's good to know your limitations. It's good to know also that you can retrain your brain. You can rewire your brain. We've learned in the last decade or two that our brain is actually remoldable, that we can rewire neural pathways, that it's like made of this plastic Play-Doh called neuroplasticity, and we can actually pave new pathways, which are what? New rituals. Or even if I want to go back a certain stimuli or action or something can trigger a completely new thought and a new feeling. But it all starts really with me not changing my thoughts, but me changing my action, my behaviors. And that's the difference between how I see personal development, how I see becoming the best version of yourself, and what is most often taught in terms of positive thinking. Well, you just stay positive, Betty, and this is all going to turn around. Bullshit. Anybody ever tried to think yourself into a new way of being, living, having, acting, and just gotten not a damn thing done? What it actually leads to when we do it the opposite way is it leads to paralysis by analysis. And the problem is that we have too much information, and now all of a sudden we feel overwhelmed and we can't take action. And that is why I suggest to you, unsubscribe, unfollow, cut the noise out. You're watching too many things. You're trying to learn from too many different people. I got the spray going now. I get fired up and then I really start spitting and spraying. Do you understand? You're following too many people. You're listening to too many people. You're getting too many emails. You are getting too much information. It is forcing you, and it's in a way teeing you up to think, which is the problem. Think myself into a new way of acting, and I can't do that. I have to act myself into a new way of thinking. When I act and do things, for example, going back to the going live webinar example, if I would have just shut it down, what would I have thought? I'm a loser. I can't do this. People don't show up to my shit. It's not as good as so-and-so's, right? Anybody ever thought that before? Everybody's like, yeah. Of course. Look, I already know that you have, and I have too. I have too. But this is the school of entrepreneurship. This is the school of hard knocks. This is the school of teaching you how to be successful as an entrepreneur. And what it requires is you not to think, but to act. And as you act and you build positive self-esteem and you build a new positive identity, I guarantee you will have different thoughts about what you should be doing, who you are, what you're capable of. Does this make sense? All right. Wake up legendary, folks. Thank you for joining us. It is, well, you don't have to go home, but as we like to say, you can't stay here. You can't stay here. It's been an honor to have you in with us this morning for an hour. Not able to see your comments this morning. Wish I could. We'll go back and review them. And hopefully you got value from this. And we hope to see you in the future at a mastermind. If you're going through our challenge, well, hopefully you've heard something this morning that inspired you to want to keep going through the challenge. If you've enrolled in our blueprints, or even if you've started marketing and you've run into some sort of a challenge, a hurdle, a pitfall, and you thought, right, which again can be a problem, right? Because if I've acted myself into a shitty way of thinking by not really acting a whole lot, my thought is going to usually default to, I can't do this. I'm not cut out for this. They're better than me. They know something I don't. Well, hopefully this morning has given you some practical, simple tips and explanations, right? Some of you want the data. You want the science. You want the theory. Well, hopefully this morning gave that to you and helped you to understand who you are and who I am, and let you realize that we're all kind of the same in a lot of different ways. It's just some of us have acted ourselves for longer periods of time into a new way of thinking. I think that's the best way to put it. Some of us have acted ourselves for longer periods of time into a new way of thinking. And that's the very difference between people that you see that are successful or the rich and why they keep getting richer, and people that are poor that are addicted to struggle. And so stop being addicted to struggle and keep going through our curriculum, keep asking questions, keep putting one foot in front of the other. And I promise you that as you keep taking action and you keep doing the things that are uncomfortable, that you don't want to do, that feel like they're not amounting to anything, well, they really are, because we're oftentimes the last person to realize that we're growing, right? We really are, and that goes both tall and wide, So anyways, with that being said, hey, okay, a couple of jokes here and there. I'm here all weekend, okay? I'm here all weekend. There'll be a couple of jokes here and there. My friends, thank you for being with us. Everybody say bye-bye to everybody on the interwebs. See ya. All right, let's get them.